Hey guys, Top Gaming Plays here, back with another Apex Legends video, and today I'm going to be ranking every legend in Apex Legends. Also, I'm going to be ranking these legends with my own opinion, and if you guys don't agree, then that's fine. Starting off with D tier, we got Bangalore and Crypto. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Crypto has never really been a strong character, and I've actually made a video on a bunch of buffs they could add to him, and they did just recently add a small buff to his drone, but it really isn't enough to make him a viable character in either pubs or ranked. Now on to Bangalore. Bangalore has been a legend that has been overlooked for a long time now. The only thing keeping her from being the worst character is her passive, which makes her quicker in battle. The reason she is now D tier is because the amount of Bloodhounds we're going to see this season. The buff he got is insane, and I don't think Bangalore mains are ready for him. And with all the map changes of Season 6, there's a lot more indoor fights, and so Bangalore's ult is basically useless. I think that Bangalore deserves a small buff to her smoke because she hasn't been changed in a long time, and she's almost useless this season. Alright, with D tier out of the way, let's move on to C tier. In C tier, we have Octane, Loba, and Mirage. Now, I know that a lot of people think that Octane is a bad character, but personally, I actually think he's quite a good character, and that with a small buff, he can become a very strong legend. The only thing that is weak right now is his jump pad. Though the launch pad can be great in pubs, and quite fun too, it's not great in ranked because a lot of the players are skilled enough they can just laser you straight out of the air. Loba, on the other hand, has some bigger issues. Her issues have to do with her ring. Now, Loba's supposed to be an aggressive character, but the issue is when you throw her ring, she basically can't move and she's defenseless. Not only that, but when she teleports, it takes a couple seconds to take out your gun before you can shoot. And not being able to shoot immediately is horrible, especially in this meta, where the meta is literally just spray and pray. Also, I'm not quite sure why they buffed her black market. It didn't really need it. I mean, most people don't even use the black market more than 2 times a game. Because, I mean, you could just run up to a loot box and loot it. You don't really need her black market to loot it. Like, you can only take 2 items anyway. Okay, let's finally talk about Mirage. Mirage has always been a weak character, and I think he will continue to be that way unless they do another rework. Mirage is good against new players and players that are in bronze and silver, maybe even gold, but the more experienced players don't fall for his decoys, and it's super easy to track him when he uses his ult. With a nice rework, I think he could definitely move up to B tier. Moving on to B tier, we have Rampart, Watson, and Pathfinder. I chose to put Pathfinder in B tier only because if you use his grapple correctly, you can still be very successful, but it is much harder than it used to be. The issue is that having a 35-second cooldown for a grapple is a bit long, and by reducing it to 25, it meets it in the middle and makes Pathfinder more useful again. And it would probably make a lot of people happy, which is something they apparently failed this season. Players seem to be very unhappy with the changes that were made for this season. If you'd like me to cover that, make sure to comment it down below. Next, we have the new Season 6 character, Rampart. Now, I decided to put Rampart at B tier because her abilities are pretty good, but they can be countered very easily, and for that reason, I had to put her at B tier. Also, I believe Rampart could be a little bit stronger depending on how good you are at using her, because if you use Sheila in the right location, she can be a lot stronger. But the thing is, we are at the very beginning of the season, so I mean, we have the entire rest of the season to figure out how good she really is. The last B tier legend we have is Watson. Now, Watson's actually pretty well balanced in my opinion. I actually don't really have a problem with her. I think that she doesn't really need a nerf right now or a buff right now. The reason I put Watson at B tier is because she is really good at locking down buildings, but like I said, she's not overpowered like some legends like Caustic, who you literally can't push inside a building. Heading into A tier, we got Lifeline, Wraith, and Revenant. The reason I put Lifeline at A tier is because of her new passive, which in my opinion is OP because you don't even need to be there to res your teammate. I've lost a decent amount of times due to Lifeline's buff that came out last season because the shield makes it hard for me to kill the Lifeline and the resing teammate. And because of that, it makes it so that the fight becomes a 2v1, and with the new spray meta, it's almost impossible to win. Next up, we got Revenant. Now, ever since Revenant got his totem buffed where he could go unlimited distance, he's been an absolute beast. It gives a team a full free push with barely any consequences. In my opinion, that is very overpowered, and that's why I had to put him at A tier. So on to the final A tier legend, we have Wraith. Now the only reason I'm putting her at A tier and not S tier is because of her phase ability. I feel like Wraith is a little bit overrated. Personally, I don't think her phase is that strong anymore. Honestly, the reason she was so strong before was that she could escape any fight. Two things that secure her spot in A tier are her small hitbox and her portal, which can be very useful for repositioning your entire team. So the first S tier legend I'd like to talk about is Gibraltar. If you've played Apex at all in the last 2 or 3 seasons, you probably know why I put Gibraltar at S tier. Gibraltar is a very strong defensive legend, especially with all the buffs that he's received in the last couple of seasons. For example, his gun shield is especially strong this season because he's able to protect himself a little bit from the spam meta. Again, his gun shield is only 50 health, so you still can laser straight through it, but it does help him a little bit. But Gibraltar is also able to revive quickly while he's in his dome. Not only that, but he also has a damage reduction. Okay, so now let's talk about Bloodhound and why he's now S tier. Bloodhound is now S tier because of his recently buffed ult. He can scan every 6 seconds when his ult is in use, which practically gives Bloodhound hacks. And when he downs a player when using his ult, he can extend his time by 15 seconds. Previously, it was only 5 seconds. Because of the buff that he received, he's extremely strong, and that's why I decided to put him at S tier. Last but not least, we got Caustic. Caustic is S tier for one reason and one reason only. You can't push inside a building when there's already an enemy Caustic inside. Caustic is just too good at locking down buildings, and it really needs to be changed. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. I'm trying to hit 2,000 subs by the end of August. We got about 10 days left. Let's see if we can hit it. Also, if you thought I rated a character too high or too low, make sure to comment it down below. And I'll see you guys next time.